Hello and welcome to the AV Exchange presented by Midwich. I am your host, Joe Dunbar. It's Thursday, May 29th. You're going to have to hear me talk about this a billion times this episode, and I'm sorry, but we are this close to InfoComm. It's like a week and a half away. This will be the final episode of the AV Exchange before the InfoComm show. We do have some scheduled afterwards, but I'm sure we'll talk about it throughout the show. So apologies for those of you who aren't going that have to hear me, listen to me talk about it, but it's the nature of the beast, right? It's right around the corner. I am excited as always, stoked. We got my buddy George in here, and George is from our Midwich Plus Services teams. I'm going to bring him in just a second. We're going to be going through all of our Plus services today. George and I get to work together a lot. He's a good cat, so he's got all the info we can dive through. If you're new to Midwich Plus Services, there they are kind of laid out for you on the agenda. I'm going to launch the poll real quick here. And just a couple of questions for anybody who's new. We just want to know, are you new to Plus Services? Are you familiar with them, or are you not familiar with them? And then kind of where you sit in the channel. Are you an integrator? Are you an end user? That lets us know who we're talking to a little bit. So we appreciate your participation there. Before we jump into that, I do got to do the housekeeping stuff, and we'll make it quick, I promise. It's Q&A for questions. That's where I can keep everything in line and make sure that questions get answered. George and we like to have some fun, and we will chat your ears off if you guys let us. So, I would say put your questions in there to get us to talk about relevant stuff so you don't have to hear us ramble on too much. Chat for general discussion. I love to know where everybody's calling from. I am in my home state, the land of 10,000 lakes. It's a beautiful day, and soon to be in Orlando, but for now I'm hiding up here. I already launched the awareness poll, and as always, we're doing a giveaway at the end. We're giving away a $50 Amazon gift card. One thing I will elaborate on a couple of times and reinforce a few times throughout this episode: if you ask relevant questions, I will enter your name again into the drawing, so you improve your chances to win that gift card for spending some time with us today. If you ask me what the weather is like or what my favorite music is, I'm probably not going to give you any points for that, but I might answer the question. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my good friend, George Seruset. George, how are you today?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm, as you can tell, just fantastic. Too much coffee. It's allergy season, so I'm going to do my best to not make you guys live in Sniffle City with me here. But other than that, man, I'm having a good time. I appreciate you joining us here today, taking some time out of what I know is a very busy day for you. Let's maybe just kick this thing off. If you can do like a general introduction for yourself. What do you do? With, background? Who are we talking to? Who are the people hearing from today?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is George Seruset. I come from a company that was recently merged and acquired by Midwich called the Farm AV. So we came out of the West Coast. We were a manufacturer's rep firm. So we covered a pretty specific territory, as far east as the Rockies, west as Hawaii, north is Alaska, and south is SoCal. And in that time, we represented a bunch of different manufacturers, represented QSys, Shure, Audio-Technica, a whole bunch of different things. The biggest of those being QSys, for sure. And I'm sure we'll get into, our whole spiel about where that kind of factors into what I do now. But since being acquired, our territory has obviously grown, right? So we've kind of gone from just the Rockies to all the way to the East Coast. And so needing someone on the West Coast to help represent our services arm, I kind of took up the mantle and moved myself and my wife out to Raleigh, North Carolina. And it's been great ever since. We thought we did that last June, so we're coming up on a year here in just 3 days. So
nice.
Yeah, it's been cool.
The Tar Heel State, if I got that right.
Yeah. I think I don't know. It sounds new.
Yeah. We'll make it. It is today.
Yeah, figure it out.
That's all right. What's your kind of? Are you, George? Are you a programmer? Are you a salesperson? Are you a coder? What's kind of like your day-to-day kind of background?
For sure. So I started out as a programmer. So again, going back to the farm days when we were starting out doing QSys programming, I started out as a programmer. Came in, I think it was about 2019, I believe, 2018. And then eventually became a regional services manager. Basically, what that means day to day is I'm helping negotiate different projects that come in with our customers. We'll negotiate contracts, develop statements of work, all that fun stuff, and a little bit of project management here and there. Did some training, did some QSys Level 2 training for a long time. Technical support. So kind of a grab bag of all things, but I would probably say more on the I guess, pseudo account / project management side of things.
Got you. Like a lot of AV folks, right? Like we all wear a couple of different hats at least. It is the nature of our
Yeah.
business. And frankly, for me, it's what makes it fun. George, what we're gonna jump into all the plus services. You're the backbone of this thing. That's not really fair to a lot of people who work on the team
I
as
was
well.
gonna say,
Hourly,
backbone's a strong word.
I know, but for the
I'll be
sake
a
of the
small rib.
show,
Yeah, yeah.
for the sake of the show, you're the backbone of it today.
Okay, for
Here
sure. I'll
now in
take it.
front of everybody. Yeah, yeah. And so I know we're gonna go through the services. I did. I have a pre-recorded interview with Jesse Miller from Midtown Video, who's a customer of ours who has utilized these services before. So I want to give our integration partners some insight to why an integrator would use it, you know, and some real world experience and stuff like that. So we'll get into that at some point. I don't know when we're gonna sprinkle it in. We'll throw it in when it makes some sense. But
Yeah.
why don't we dive in? And George, I just, you know, first of all, can you, for those who don't know, looking at the poll here, it looks like we have mostly folks that are somewhat familiar or not familiar with our plus services. So like, what is plus services when we're talking about that?
Yeah, no, that poll result kind of makes sense because it's still a pretty new thing. So the acquisition is new. It's hard to tell when the timeline really started, but you know, I'd say definitely within a year. I'd say it's like when the bulk of that work really started. Pretty early on, we wanted to try to figure out how to integrate what we had been doing services wise with the farm to what, you know, this new Starin Midwich farm amalgamation model was going to be. To provide a little bit of historical context. So the farm AV, again, manufacturer's rep, the biggest manufacturer at that time was QSys for us, for pretty obvious reason, right? So because we started working with them when like predating the QSys core, which for those that don't know, is a big DSP and control processor. Before that, they were doing primarily power amplification, speakers, and the like. But then they wanted to get into room control, DSP, all the fun stuff. So pretty early on, we saw kind of a need for our channel partners because when you buy these processors, they just come out of the box as expensive paperweights until you do a bunch of hours of programming to them to make them actually go. And so to be kind of the added value to our customers at the time, we wanted to spin up a kind of a small team of programmers just to see what the market would be interested in. Like, is this something that we could actually offer a lot of the time? Is this something we can make money on? Things like that. And sure enough, it kind of took off, which is great, but it also made us pretty busy. As a result, we kind of kept adding to the team. At the time, it was just 3 programs at the time. Then I joined. And then Andrew Stanley and Tom Matley came over from AVDG, the integration side of things, and they kind of made us legit, you know, because at the time we were just kind of I mean, the other programmers at the time may have different perspectives, but we were kind of a ragtag operation, really trying to just run and gun, get the projects done, and move on to the next one, try and make them as successful as possible.
That's the nature of AV, man. That makes
man.
perfect sense.
We were figuring out as we went, you know, and it was fun. It was super fun, but also made things a little stressful.
Yeah. So Andrew helped rein you guys in, is what you're saying?
A little bit. He herded the hamsters for us, which is great because, and to your point, yeah, there's only so much herding you can do because that's just AV, right? But any help was great, and they bring a lot of structure to what we were doing. And the biggest thing, them coming from the integration side, was a big deal to us because all of us in the programming team at the time, we were just kind of like live audio sound engineers for the most part. Like that was kind of our area of expertise coming into this company, was live sound. And that kind of was true for all 4 of us at that time. So, and so the programming thing was a new skill set, and we got good at it. But again, it's a new skill set. But we also didn't necessarily know a lot of the full context of the industry. So working with integrators, what that meant, what was entailed in that. So them coming from like a big integration firm was a big deal because they knew that side of the operation and they knew what integrators were looking for and how to best engage with those customers, what they were looking for in a subcontractor and things like that. And early on, we kind of set out kind of like an MO that we would not contract directly with end users. We would not bypass the channel. We would only go through the channel and the channel only, right? So
yes,
that was a big deal to us because that's
big deal to the channel as well. So that's a great approach.
For sure. And it wasn't meant to be like, yeah, we were going to make a little bit of money on it here and there for sure, but it wasn't meant to be like the biggest source of revenue for us because, like, again, we were manufacturers reps, and still to this day, it's not. Now as a distributor, that's not our main, I guess, driving force. We like the services is meant to help support the sales arm of what we're doing.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of that happened in around, I would say 2019, 2020, pandemic hit. everything kind of paused, did their thing, and then came back. Everyone had a big backlog, so that got a little nutty. We got some pretty interesting projects. Like we were doing the typical, conference room programming, DSP control, and then we even went and did some pretty big deployment projects. So things that weren't even related to QSys. So a good example is we did an arena up in Seattle, and they just needed hands because the timeline got. Or I guess the timeline didn't get pushed. That was the problem, but they still had to stop working because no one could be around each other. And then as soon as that was lifted, the time they still had now a fraction of the time they had before to complete an arena project. So
Sure.
they were, obviously kind of freaking out. So that's when they reached out to us.
Became the hands for that.
Well, yeah, we supplemented what they already had.
That's exactly kind of what the services have morphed into now, right? Like that's
for sure
early stages. Cool.
Yeah. So what initially started as like programming and commissioning our own programming, it kind of just as things changed, like again, due to worldwide circumstances or just needs of the market, we started offering things outside of our skill set, which we still do today, kind of on a one-off basis, but we'll take any requests because again, the main goal for us is just to be a resource to the customer. We're not right here to put up a bunch of guardrails and say, no, we only do this. We're going to charge a bunch of money for it. No, we're here to just serve is our goal. And it sounds cheesy, but and it doesn't make sense from a business standpoint to say we're not here to make money on this, but it's kind of true. That's not the driving goal for us. The driving goal for us is to be the go-to resource for all of our customers, right? So it's got us in some interesting situations, interesting projects, which has been fun. That's kind of how we got started, and kind of that's still our bread and butter to this day is that programming and commissioning services. And now that we're a part of Midwich, we wanted to again morph kind of what we've already been doing and take what Darren had already been doing and kind of make a Midwich result. And what that is I know we'll get into it here in a little bit, is basically productifying, if that can be a word, all these different services, right? So turning what we do into, you can buy a coding product, a deployment product. And so, and again, I know we'll get into those, but that's been like a Reader's Digest kind of like the milestones of how services started into what it's been turning into to what it is now. And it's going to keep growing and keep changing all the time just because, we're going to add on new people, the team's going to grow, skill sets are going to change, new requests are going to come in that are going to, make us kind of want to diversify into what we offer.
Yeah. We do. In the AV industry in general, we do that quite well. I feel like adapting to the nature of what people need and being agile enough to maybe pick up some new skills or some new resources to provide those skills and things. So the Plus Services is really like a package of services that for you guys and the farm team and before pre-acquisition was really in the realm of what coding, commissioning systems and programming and things like that. For us on the Starin side of things, it was very much like advanced RMAs and providing kind of we all try to steer clear of the term extended warranty because we know it's a lot more than that, but these types of services, right?
Sure.
And so now we've kind of brought them together along with the rebranding and everything in the name, and now that's Plus Services. So I know, I think George, if you want to share your slide deck, we can kind of there's one slide somewhere in there that kind of gives the overview of like Plus Services. Poof, here's kind of all the services that fall within that. And I think that'll be probably a good next step. I know we're going to talk about a couple of services, maybe more in particular than others. There's one for sure that we're still working on launching. The brand isn't kind of fully complete in that sense. I'm excited to kind of get into Project Plus and get that going. But let's get this deck up.
I can.
That works. I'm all about it. There we go. Awesome. So let's. There's 5 services listed here. As I alluded to, we haven't necessarily completed the launch of the brand, so there's a couple that are relevant and out today. Let's dive into these a little bit, and if you can kind of talk through, give us the overview, and then maybe we can jump into that interview with Jesse regarding Protect Plus and his experience.
Yeah, for sure. I think I can get it to stop advancing. Hold tight. There we go. You know what I'll do? I'm just going to keep it to this screen. There we go. So
I love it.
I'll start the easiest ones to explain because I kind of already explained them. The two on the right. So Deploy Plus and Code Plus. Deploy Plus is as the name kind of implies, is a deployment or commissioning service. So most of the time, those two things are going to be put together. Us providing the code, developing the code, providing it, but also then us going out either on field or via remote to push the code to the processor, do all the testing, making sure all the inputs and outputs are doing what they're supposed to do, all the control points are doing what they're supposed to do, and put those final touches on the system before the customer ultimately turns it over. Deploy Plus, though, we've kind of split these up. So we gave the customer the option. Let's say the customer has a fantastic in-house programming team, but the deployment team is just strapped, and logistically, it's not going to be able to work for whatever reason to have their own people handle the deployment or the commissioning of that service or the programming. That's where Deploy Plus can come into play. We treat that as kind of a one-off. So to think back to the example that I gave earlier about the arena, that one definitely had to be kind of like negotiated, mostly because, again, it didn't, like I said earlier, it didn't include QSys at all, which was a little bit scary for us, but ultimately what they were wanting was just people who knew AV at a high level to help commission the system that programming was already done. So like they were using a whole different platform, whole different DSP, but they just want someone on site who can help commission and deploy systems. And that was a perfect fit for us, and it worked out. We've done it a couple of times where we've seen work best is, let's say you have an enterprise customer, you have, I don't know, 50 to 100 rooms, and they're all the same, like some variant of a Logi-based system. And you have a basic scope of how the rooms are supposed to work. And let's say you have an on-site team, and including a PM and some other hands, and we're just here to supplement what you already have. Mm-hmm. We'll fit in perfect with that. A good example we've done is with a biotech firm out in the Bay Area, and they already had a PM. They even had a script, more or less a script for each room that included things like, the room Zoom credentials or the IP address every device is supposed to be at. And they had a shareable spreadsheet that we can enter in, fault information or passing grades for the rooms, things like that. And we were just meant to be supplements to their, field team. And that worked great. It just was wash, rinse, repeat. And then we got out of there when the project was done, and happy days. So it was awesome. So kind of the inverse of that is Code Plus, where we just provide the code, we develop it, send it to you. We'll obviously address any issues that come up with the code. Let's say there might be some errors, some bugs. We'll squash those for you. Otherwise, it's up to the customer's team to actually then, do, like I was saying earlier, do the deployment, do all the testing, and putting the final touches is then on the customer side of things. And again, that's mostly we split these up mostly to offer up some flexibility. So, let's say you have a fantastic field team and your in-house programming team is just strapped. That's where we can kind of backfill what is needed. As you can imagine, those are going to come pretty much together, I would say 75% of the time, because they're kind of made to work together, right? Right. So that's kind of how we did most of our projects when we were just the farm on the West Coast, was that, we would develop the code, and then part of our scope would be either remotely or on site, going in, deploying the code, and making sure all was good. And then moving over to the left side is kind of where we get into more, or it says technical support, but it is more product specific. So I know, and I agree with this. You said this earlier, where we kind of stray away from the word advanced warranty, because it is a bit more than that, is what Protect Plus is. And I know we'll get into what the interview, so I won't go too deep, but basically it's technical support protection for products that you purchase through Midwich. So let's say it's just one product, a handful of products, or a whole system of products that you want to protect with things like 24/5 technical support is going to be included in this. Advanced replacement for when products go down is going to be a part of this. And these are going to come in different flavors: 1 year, 3 year, 5 year. And so it is kind of a warranty, but it is a bit more than that because of what you get when you engage with our Protect Plus services here. I'd say a big plus is, thinking back to the example of a whole system, you're going to have up to like 10, 20, heck, 50 different manufacturers of products in one room. Who wants to track down all the different warranties for the display, for the Logi bar, for the cables and all these things? If you're able to put that all under one SKU and kind of give the morbid example, one neck to choke kind of idea, that's where Protect Plus can come into play. We can provide a custom SKU that's Protect Plus that'll cover the whole system, right? Depending on, and again, pricingly depending on how much gear, what the gear is, and then the length of the contract, right? But then it's just one point of contact, and that's us. And when you leverage that 24/5 tech support, you're calling our team. You're not calling just some call center in the middle of the country that's just going off a script, doing the whole, did you
Yeah.
unplug it? Did you plug it back in? Is it on? Is it on the network? Da da da. We're gonna skip all those steps and
Well,
get
wait,
right down to the
George,
nuts
you
and
still
problem.
should unplug it and plug it back in because this is just
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
technology, right? We all know that's going to be the first thing you should do.
We might still bring that up once or twice, but yeah, for
But
sure. But
you get our
yeah.
wide team from the Midwich group being able to offer support around the
Mhm.
clock, which is fantastic. And yeah, I've got some good questions rolling in. We're talking about Protect Plus. I think this is maybe a good spot to slot in a pre-recorded interview I did with Jesse, if that's okay with you, George.
Love it.
I just feel this feels like a great spot for it. I am
Most
going to
definitely.
round up some of these questions, but I want to preface for the audience. We've got about a 10-minute interview here. Let me get flipped. We've got about a 10-minute interview I did with Jesse Miller at Midtown Video. Jesse has utilized our services for quite some times. A pre-acquisition, Jesse's been using Protect Plus. I think through like probably 2 different name changes over the years, and they've had a huge amount of success with it. So this is a great opportunity to get an integrator's perspective on this. So take a look at the interview, and we'll be. All right. Jesse Miller, Midtown Video. I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me this afternoon. We're talking about all of our Plus services, and you, our systems integrator, has utilized our Protect Plus services before. So I kind of just wanted to get your opinions. Jesse, can you tell me a little bit about why you decided to start using some of our Protect Plus services and what led you to that?
Sure. From a integrator standpoint, any additional revenue we can get, any nice margin revenue that we can add to a job makes it easier for us to keep operating. And from the perspective of our client, they really are looking for a way to ensure that their investment life cycle is protected. They're not just thinking about buying something once or even, maintaining a relationship with an integrator. What they're thinking of is, will this system last until I have to, until I can work it into, until I can work its upgrade investment back into the budget, right? So we like to tell our clients 5 to 7 year timeline. So they want to prepare for situations like, what if something goes down within 3 years? That's where that's our sweet spot. So far, we're not selling a whole lot of 7 year contracts, but 1 to 3 years, going from the manufacturer's regular warranty to get a couple extra years out of it. We're selling from an integrator standpoint, the labor protection. So we'll come out and fix stuff. We'll come out and retrain, do whatever is necessary. But once the manufacturer's warranty is up on a piece of hardware, the client doesn't want to feel like they're out of luck. So again, they're thinking about not a component. They're not thinking about a camera. They're not thinking about a conference bar. They're thinking about their conference room. How can I make sure that this room continues to serve when the upper management needs to use it? How can we make sure that for the 7 years until they're ready to invest again, that it will continue to serve the purpose, to the best of its ability?
I love that. Are you guys, so it sounds like you're then like are you building this into a larger service offering with some like into an SLA kind of contract? Or is that kind of you're building in some labor as well for that, or what does that look like for you guys?
We do offer our clients what we call a support agreement. We haven't productified it yet, right? That's what they recommend, Midtown Care, or, come up with a product to. We haven't done that yet. We call it a support agreement because we want to let them know support is available. There are so many different ways to approach it. What we like to think of is it's unlimited. If anything goes wrong, we'll be there. We put some parameters around how quick our guaranteed response time is so that we know that we can manage whatever problems crop up. But we don't want to get into the, whose responsibility was it? Is it really just a training exercise because of user error, or did something actually go wrong? We don't care. Whatever it is, we want them to call us so that we can, continue to deepen our relationship with them, continue to let the client know that they've got somebody who has their back. And it doesn't matter whether it's, an operator error issue or some kind of fundamental breakdown, regardless of the cause. We're answering the phone and we want to help. So when it is a fundamental breakdown, when it is hardware going wrong, and we're like, I don't know what to do, this is actually broken, we're going to have to replace it, we can lean on Midwich, make it easy for us. Another thing that's cool about leaning on Midwich's services is that, if you call a manufacturer for support, sometimes, not all of them, like not Barco. Barco's really great at helping you with it. Let me get to the point. Sometimes when you call a manufacturer and you're like, hey, my network camera isn't working, they're like, well, what's wrong with your network, right? Or what is it plugged into? What else could be failing? Whereas you're calling Midwich, they're not representing one manufacturer, just like Midtown isn't interested in whether it's a operator error or a fundamental breakdown. Midwich is going to answer whether the issue is with the network switch or if it's with the network camera or if, or if it's the user error. They'll help us figure out from an integrated standpoint, how can we get the system back online, regardless of what the component you're calling about is. That's very cool.
That's awesome. So, we're talking holistically instead of just kind of an individual slice of it, which is certainly a benefit to the customers. Shifting a little bit, so we've kind of set up what it's like for your customers and how you're offering this to your customers. But can you just, you're talking to me right now. I'm asking for it as unbiased as you can. I just would love to know, like, what has your experience been like utilizing the service? Have you had an opportunity to do, have to do some RMAs and things like that? Has it been easy? What's that been like?
I have had to deal with RMAs, and it has been seamless, which is pretty cool. One of the product lines that is most successful to sell service with are D10 for us. So we're talking like 75-inch meeting boards. This is not your simple box it back up and ship it to us, So it's massive. You got to take a monitor down off the wall. It's two guys. And point being, from the manufacturer side, from the distributor side, it's been great. Not that we've had very many, but because it's the one that we sell service on the most, it's the one that I have the most experience with on the few times the D10 does go awry, and it's been smooth.
Awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. It's nothing's perfect. We're certainly working on making it, a service that is something our integrators can leverage, like you are, with kind of a larger offering, or by itself, kind of depending on how they want to position it. They can white glove it.
I'm glad to hear that you're investing more in it, because we've had a really good, what feels like personal experience with it. I don't want this to be a super successful seminar. You end up with a bunch of my competitors ahead of me on the call line to the services department. That's not what I want.
Yeah, you got the direct number as an early adopter. You get the bat phone number. That's no problem. So I guess when you're selling these services to your customer, kind of part of the whole agreement, right? What are they seeing as the benefits? I got to imagine it's just the ability to pick up a phone and get some help without having to worry about it, or is there anything else kind of coming to the table when they say, yeah, we want to buy this because of the immediacy of the service, or the kind of the holistic approach? Any of those things, all of those things? What is that?
Interestingly, so the most business that we do is with the IT managers, right?
Okay.
Because somehow video conferencing falls under the realm of IT,
Yeah.
and they already buy in a managed service kind of approach. They're used to it, and so you can see the discomfort, you can see the anxiety when they're like, it's only 1 year, the warranty or whatever. So we're providing comfort in a way. It feels a bit awkward, because when I'm in line at Best Buy at the register, what's your initial defense? Hey, would you like to buy the extended? No, I don't want to buy any of your extended warranties. Don't be ridiculous. That's because I'm at home. I'm a do-it-yourself kind of guy, and nobody's counting on my living room to have the earnings call. Now,
Sure.
That's not the perspective of our client. The perspective of our client is, A, the company spent $150,000 in this high-end conference room to get the technology right. B, imagine the per dollar salary. The per minute salary. Once you've added up all of the executives in the room that are sitting there expecting that equipment to work, it had better work. So when you are making that investment, A, got to have the correct integrated partner so that you can trust that what they're doing is going to work. But B, you got to have the right manufacturer's partner. And what the client doesn't see is that you got to have the right distribution partner in cases like these service agreements. So, you're selling comfort. They like to hedge their bets. Okay, great. Great. We'll work with you to upgrade our our projector. We'll put in a 98-inch video monitor behind where the projector used to be. So we say, do you want us to take out the projection screen for you? No, leave the projection screen in. Like, what are you talking about? We're never going to put that projection screen down. Well, what happens when the 98-inch monitor fails?
Right.
You got to bring the screen down, bring the projector in. The meeting has to happen. So they're coming at this from this kind of perspective. So when we can say to them, here's a 3-year extended warranty on your capital investment. It's not like the guy in line at Best Buy who's just going to okay, so I'll watch the game at my friend's house if the TV turns off or something like that. They need a little bit more reassurance.
Got it. I appreciate it, man. What's last question I have for you, Jesse? You guys, I would love it, obviously, if every project that went out the door was appropriate to attach these services to, because that certainly helps us in a way. But are you seeing any? That's usually not the case. Are you seeing any kind of patterns or consistency? Is it always just the large boardrooms? Are there huddle spaces and small focus rooms that you're also utilizing these services on? Is it a range of everything in between? What's your experience like?
That's a great question. Typically, the huddle spaces are not attaching services to them. It is the medium and the larger boardrooms where there's a little bit more anxiety. This is an anxiety purchase. This is like hedging against failure. Where you might need that extra support. That's been our experience. I'm not saying that's everybody's, but when your investment gets up into past 75 grand, you really want to look at ways to have contingency plans, backup, redundancy, and my services.
Protection. Yeah. Jesse, I love it. I know all of our integrator partners watching are listening, going boardrooms for $75,000 to $150,000. Sign me up, because a lot of customers can start to get the sticker shock.
We're hiring.
That price point. Yeah, I love to hear it. Jesse, you guys are, I believe, down in sunny Florida. Is that correct?
That's right. Our headquarters is in Miami, Florida, but our reach is global. We are honored to be in Trinidad and Jamaica and the Bahamas and DC, Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, Houston, LA. So
you guys are everywhere.
And it's exhausting to do it all. So we're looking for team members that want to join up.
We're spreading the word here now, folks. If you're looking for a new position, new opportunity, I've had the opportunity to work with Jesse and his team in Midtown Video, and they've been great partners. So, Jesse, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this interview with me for the sake of a webinar and just to share your experience with our partners as somebody who's lived and breathed this stuff. Any last words? Are you going to be at Infocom? Are you on LinkedIn? All those good things?
Thank you for asking. I am going to be at LinkedIn. I'm honored to be presenting at Infocom, remote production how-tos with a couple of really talented guys. I'm just the moderator.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool. We're volunteering. I volunteer in the Avixa Board of Education. So I get to have a hand in what content goes into the educational seminars, which is really, really cool programming. Marcella Walsh does a great job. Anyway, yeah. Thank you for being interested and spending a little time talking to me today. It was great, Joe. Nice to see you.
Likewise. Thanks for being here. And Jesse at Midtown Video, thanks so much. We'll see you at Infocom, my friend. I'm looking forward to it.
All right.
All right, so George, we just heard it right from the horse's mouth. Jesse has been utilizing mostly our Protect Plus services. You've talked a little bit about your experience, in past with the farm and now as a Midwich brand, offering some of the Code Plus and Deploy Plus commissioning and programming services. And now there's Jesse giving some real world experiences and the success that they have had with the Protect Plus services. Now, we got a question. I've got a stack of questions lined up, but this one kind of plays into this pretty well. So I want to ask it to ourselves here and we'll address it. Sam wants to know, how do you handle kind of the question that comes back where a customer will say, well, we have the manufacturer warranty. Why do I need both of these things? And that's a great question. I don't really see it as needing both of these things necessarily. I see it as supplemental, right? These things kind of attach to each other. It's not both of these things as individual items. It's these things together. So manufacturer warranty is going to be limited in scope and in term usually. And as Jesse pointed out, it's not about offering, advanced tech support and advanced RMA on a single product, right? This is about offering the solution on a whole room, the whole system as a whole. And as Jesse explained the benefit of it, you mentioned it earlier, George, when you talked about having one throat to choke. You can call us. You don't have to say what, you don't have to sit and troubleshoot and call the video manufacturer only to have you tell them that like the other manufacturer is the one causing the problem. We have all been there and know exactly how that goes. If you call us, we certainly want to try and pinpoint the problem. So we're making sure that we're troubleshooting the right items. But it's going to get right into, we want to drill down. Is this defective? And if it is defective, we got an advanced RMA coming out. And if it's not defective, then let's get you on the track to fixing it. If it's a configuration problem or an update or something of that nature. George, Jesse brought up 2 points. So one we touched on, which was we're not representing the room or the item, we're representing the whole room. So we kind of just talked about that. But maybe we want to elaborate on we are not in the we've been like conditioned. We even talked about this at the beginning of the program that like we don't want to use the term extended warranty or advanced warranty, right? Because we've been conditioned in the consumer realm to just stay away from those things. They're bad, they're a ripoff or whatever. Here's Jesse talking about how they've made their business more profitable by utilizing the solutions and add peace of mind for their customers who have had to utilize them and thankfully have had them. So like, how do we kind of address that for folks and kind of make sure they understand that space? Because I think a lot of systems integrators are interested in these types of solutions. Their customers obviously are interested in them and are happy to leverage them. But we kind of got to get over this hump of like, yeah, it's not an extended warranty, or maybe it is, but we don't want to call it that. What have we seen?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think honestly, it's a really hard thing to just explain with words and slides and all these things. That you really have to kind of live the worst case scenario, which a lot of our, if not all of our integrated partners have, right? Like they've gone through that scenario where maybe they do or they don't offer that kind of support agreement with their customers, whether they're doing a Protect Plus or not, and they've seen the ramifications that come with not having that direct support from someone like Midwich that's kind of aggregating all this information from all the different manufacturers and knowing how to get to the right people at the right times. Because when you're buying a product, you're not thinking about that, right? When you're buying a display, you're like, it will just work, and when it doesn't, I'll buy a new one. Who cares? That's, you're not thinking of, oh well, now the CEO's in the room and they need it tomorrow. Like, you're not thinking these things that happen all the time.
Yep.
And having that one source, the one point of contact to go to whenever anything in that room goes down, that's, I think, a pretty big deal. Because to Jesse's point, you're not chasing multiple tails trying to get to the right answer, right? You're going to one source that you can trust for multiple different manufacturers, different scenarios, and more importantly, that these people have been there before. Like, again, you're not calling a call center, you're calling our team, who they've been in the field. They've seen these things go down with their very own eyes and have had to solve the issue right then and there. And they've had to sit on those calls with the manifacturer. They've gone through all that. So
we know what it's like to have somebody breathing down our backs, wondering why we can't get this going.
Yep.
George, we've got a stack of questions. We're kind of getting close-ish to time. I want to be mindful of it. We talked about Code Plus, Deploy. I believe, make sure I got this right. We talked about Code Plus. We talked about Deploy Plus. We just kind of talked about Protect Plus, right? I know we're working on some other offerings in the brand. I love that Jesse talked about productifying and use that term as well. So we're working on adding more products to this offering. We did get a question about do we offer any design services? And I know that's something that we offer to a degree now and are looking to kind of extend and expand on. Can you talk a little bit about Project Plus and where we're at and what we're hoping to make that look like here soon?
For sure. I think a good place to start is kind of what we do now and what we've done with the farm, and I know Darren has done for a long time, and now we're kind of combining our own different approaches to that into one unified approach, and what we're calling is Design Assist. So that is a free service. That's just part of our tech support offering that we just do for free for our customers as kind of a point of, I kind of treat it like a cultural thing. It's just what we do just inherently for our customers. We're not here to make money off it, and it's just a thing we do for them. So what the gist is take an example. You have a customer who comes and say, hey, I have a high school that needs a gym and 30 some odd classrooms that need AV, go, right? So the luxury that we have, which we didn't necessarily have quite as much on the manufacturer's website, or we only had, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 lines. Now we have what feels like a billion lines on the distribution side, which is overwhelming, but super cool because now we're covering most of the bases of an AV system, right? So we got displays, we got processors, we got control things, we have environmental stuff, cables, all that stuff. So what we'll do, we take a request like that in, and we'll look at our line card, see what makes sense for each system type, provide documentation on a conceptual level, so things like equipment lists, some rough diagrams to give some illustrations of how things interconnect, and maybe some explanations of how these systems work roughly, and some explanations as to why our tech support person was thinking this way when they were designing a system like this. And that we usually treat as like a starting point, because then what you need to do is you need to factor in everything else that goes into a system, your environmental, your HVAC, your infrastructure, all these things to put together as part of a full bid spec. And that's the next step. So everything before that is called Design Assist. We do that for free. We do it all the time. We love doing it. The next thing is what we're going to be calling Project Plus. So Project Plus is going to be a fee-based service because, again, it's going to take in all these different elements into account and actually provide a final deliverable product that you can actually submit to bid. It's going to account for, again, infrastructure, HVAC, environment, all these things. And it's also going to go outside of our line card because we may not represent everything, right? So we may not represent, I don't know, the rack of choice for this customer. Like, let's say they're just diehard Middle Atlantic fans through and through, or for whatever reason. And okay, we'll go outside our line card to do it. We'll account for the things that we don't necessarily represent, right? And what I think the biggest thing is, and it kind of goes back to Jesse's idea of peace of mind, because that's what this deliverable is ultimately going to be. Again, beforehand, the Design Plus, you're going to be getting a conceptual diagram of a system, but again, it's not going to be the final. We put our stamp on this is the final system, right? Because again, there's some pieces that need to be filled in a little bit here and there.
Right.
Project Plus is going to be the full turnkey solution, is what we like to say.
That's the magic word.
Turnkey, yeah. I was trying to think of it that whole time I was going.
We live and die on this a little bit. To your point, George, like the design assistance that we offer now, we use the term conceptual. You've used it a couple times now. We use that a lot. Yeah. There's still like liability on the integrator. I have we have a disclaimer that I include often when I send these out. Like, hey, as the integrator, like you still know how to commission this. You still need to know how to make this work. You still need to know how it goes. We can show you what a wiring diagram looks like, but you can plug things in and connect them a lot of different ways, and they can work a lot of different ways. So that makes good sense. So that's Project Plus kind of in a nutshell.
Yes.
I've got some questions stacking up, and I want to address a couple of them. One of them is a great question. How does a partner engage with the Plus team when they have a Protect Plus call or whatever the case may be? I think we have it on a slide, right? Is it on a slide?
Yeah, let me track that.
It's on a slide somewhere. I swear to God.
Not on this one, but I know where it is.
All right.
Sorry.
I have it. We have a sheet. You can call us. You can log it in the portal. You can email us. There's a couple of ways to get in there. There's a sheet on it somewhere. I swear to you, I didn't make it up. There we go. Is that the one?
Protect Plus. There you go.
Yeah.
So there's a protect.plus@midwich.us is the email, or we even have a ticketing system. There's also a phone number to call, but there's also a help desk portal that you can either go. The customer can go to themselves if they have an account set up, or they can go through the sales representative that they work with, or they can just call us and we'll set up a ticket for them on their behalf. And then that way it's just a way to track the issue at hand. So that's the best way to engage for the Protect Plus service, for sure.
That is a great call out. I think one thing, especially for Protect Plus, a bonus to the integrator for Protect Plus. So there's a bunch of protections for your customer, which is a bonus to you as the systems integrator because you're helping your customer, right? But a bonus directly to the integrator is like, hey, if you buy a product from us and it doesn't have Protect Plus on it, you can still call and get some kind of general, low-level tech support. We're going to give you, whatever, 15 or 20 minutes to try and help you solve your problem and get you pointed in a direction. With Protect Plus, we have the ability to get the manufacturers involved. So even when we do pin down that it's not a defective hardware problem, so an advanced hardware isn't necessarily going to solve your issue, right? And it is a configuration thing. Maybe it's an update, maybe it's a firmware, something like that. We're not just saying, cool, it's this piece, go talk to the manufacturer. We're going to say, hey, it's this piece, we've got a line to the manufacturer, so let us get in touch with them on your behalf in a group discussion, and now we can kind of pin it down together as well and help cut that time and the work out for the systems integrator. So that's a huge bonus as well.
Exactly.
That I feel like we don't talk about. Amos, my guy, Amos out in South Dakota, gave us, I think, a question that I can't even fit on the screen, so I'm not going to try to, but I'm going to approach it with you guys and let's talk through it for a second. Amos wants to know basically what happens in a nightmare scenario. What if the support covers a large display, a long distance from the reseller, with the serial number on the back where it's not visible? This is all a very realistic scenario. And when the customer calls, we don't expect the end user to like take down the display and get a serial number for us, right? That would be a little crazy. Amos, I've been in this situation before. Thankfully, we have a track of the serial numbers in a variety of different ways. So we can usually pin down the display. At least if you sold 100 displays in there, we can at least pin down the 100 serial numbers. If there's no track of what went in there, then we at least know what model we're working with, and we can kind of get in there and look at the display. And if it ends up that it's got to come off the wall, then at that point, right, you're rolling a truck and we'll get to know that serial number. But that's a very real world scenario that I love. Yeah. It's like the world's burning down, which is exactly what we're here to help you guys do.
Exactly.
George, here's a good one. How many projects do we do a year for kind of the whole Plus team, which I'll let you, I know we can ballpark it, right? Can we put Yeah. What kind of range are we in?
We ballpark it at around 100 a year is what we've been doing as of late. So I think we're just tipping past 500 total. But of course, some years were lower than others. Again, thinking of the pandemic years and stuff like that. But on the average, we say about 100 a year.
Got it. So that's a good chunk of projects right there.
We stay busy.
Yeah. Ames had a question about documentations and if we maintain and provide, schematics, passwords, procedural stuff. And I will say, Amos, that's a goal, I think, with Project Plus. And when we launch that service and offer more formalized and kind of documentation like that, I will certainly say if you do conceptual designs with us and we have drawings, we still have them. They are still in existence. So if you lose your copy or whatever, we'll get you there. But that's a great question. I'm gonna throw one last question out here. There's a couple here. I don't know that we're gonna have time to get to all of them, but we'll get to one last one here, and then we'll do the raffle and drawing for the folks, and we can get George out of here on his way. George, kind of the question is, it's a two-parter. So you specifically mentioned earlier that this is not a call center in a faraway land with a script and somebody waiting for your call on that end. So the two-part question is kind of how many people are on the Plus Services team, and what is the general experience like? Obviously, everybody's kind of got their own niche things and lines, but are these technical people? Kind of what's that like? How many people and what's their technical experience?
So the whole team is a team of 12, and then the core programming team, if we get rid of people like me, Andrew, Sean, Brad, who are more on the administrative, project management side of things, again, we're looking at probably closer to 8 full-time programmers. That's all they do. A couple of the guys specialize primarily in plugins, but we'll still do project programming as well.
Yeah.
And experience-wise, you're looking at a whole range. And we all come from different backgrounds. Like I said, that the first set of programmers that came on back in the old farm days were definitely live sound heavy. But we've got guys that came from specializing in UI, that came from the AV industry, that came from integration. So you got guys with years of experience in whole different walks of life when it comes to AV. But yeah, you've got people that are very knowledgeable. Obviously, our biggest, I should say, expertise was definitely QSYS, and it continues to be. But we're, a part of the distribution thing is that we have a whole bunch of new manufacturers to learn, and that we've been doing that for the past year, and it's been awesome. And so we're, getting specialized on a whole bunch of different manufacturers and platforms, and we hope to grow our programming and deployment services along with that. So. Again, thinking of the other platforms of control and DSP. We're going to try to introduce those in the near future as well. So not only will our internal expertise grow, we're also trying to build out the team. So we're going to be, ideally trying to bring on people with different sets of experiences, like network or again other controlled DSP platforms, things like that. So
Yeah.
you're calling a pretty. It's hard to say like, oh, this is our thing. Apart from Keys Suite, because it goes from again integration to live sound to UI to a whole bunch of different things. So
Right.
but you're calling a very experienced team, and we are definitely. I think the biggest thing that I like to say that I'm proud of, that I like to hang my hat on, is that our team is always invested in whatever the issue is at hand, right? Like we genuinely care about what you're going through because we know what it's like in the field. And, when those things happen in the field that, force you to call customer support, you're not calling because you want to have a good time. You're calling because something is going wrong and you are freaking out. So we are invested in making sure you get the answers you need. And so again, not only are we experienced, but we actually like are invested in what you're going through as a customer, and we want you to come back and use us in that way whenever you need it. So
that's a great call out. I've leaned on that before too. I know. So the team from the farm is pretty experienced, like you said, super experienced at QSys and stuff. And when you look at our services team that came from Starin, that we've now are kind of one as Midwich, you get myself and Doug Dillman. I mean, the years of experience that come from kind of the two teams is in the hundreds for sure. When you kind of add them all together, and that spans a lot more brands and a lot of technologies. I lied, and we're going to slip one question in. I'm going to answer it real quickly. Douglas Walford wants to know, purchasing products like QSys require a certification. So Doug is asking if we will provide certification in programming and writing code and those types of applications. Doug, I'm going to branch it out of just QSys, because there are other brands that require certifications to purchase. And I believe the way this is going to play out is that you will still be required to have somebody on staff to have the certification to be able to order the products. It's the nature of the beast. It's the requirement from the manufacturer, understandably.
So the company email, by the way.
Yes, exactly. Good call out. Somebody on that team needs to know how all this stuff works and goes together.
Exactly.
But it's understandable that you might need somebody with some more advanced knowledge. So yes, when we provide somebody who can do programming and can do writing code and all of those things, you will still have to have somebody on staff with the company email that has the certification in order to make the purchases. So you can use us and our services to supplement your projects, your staff, your knowledge. The last piece I would add to that is like a lot of times, it doesn't make sense for an integrator to hire a person for a specific brand, because they have that knowledge, but you want to get into those projects. It's a great place to leverage us. So,
absolutely.
George, we've got a couple questions we'll have to follow up on afterwards. I appreciate everybody for going ahead and submitting those, giving us your time. George, before we let you go, you got to let the people know, are you on LinkedIn? Are you going to Infocom? Now you're going to be famous, so we got to know where to find you.
I'm on LinkedIn. I'm not lucky enough to go to Infocom Orlando in June this year, so
okay.
I'll find a way to live.
Yeah, you'll manage. You've been to a couple before. I don't think you're too sad about being able to kind of work your normal work, but we will definitely
figure it out. But yeah, I'm definitely on LinkedIn. But we also have two of our guys going to Infocom. We have Andrew Stanley and Sean Murphy going to Infocom. So Sean Murphy is my counterpart on the West Coast. He is flying away from Seattle, and Andrew's from the Bay Area. Andrew Stanley kind of oversees both me and Sean services for the whole country. So they're going to be great wealths of information. If you have any questions, we're trying to get them involved in all the meetings to help people just understand what we do on the services side of things and how it can kind of supplement not only what our integrator does, but make us, we want to be that important resource to you guys, and they're going to be there to explain all of that in greater detail. So definitely track them down. They're more than happy to have those conversations. So definitely look for those guys.
Appreciate it, George Seruset. Thank you so much. We are going to move on and get into the drawing here real quick before we make our way out of here. We actually, I swear to you, we have started talking about some kind of effect and drum roll noise. So we're making some progress, but it has been crazy weeks. I've been gone a bunch. So I'm spinning it right now. And Sam Leonardo. All right. Sam, we will reach out to you after the episode here to get your information and make sure that we can get that gift card to you. I want to say a huge shout out. Thanks to everybody for joining us, giving us your time. We could talk about Plus Services for hours and hours, so hopefully you got good information out of it. Definitely hit our website for the next AV Exchange episode, so you can go ahead and register. Reach out to your Midwich team member if you want more information on Plus Services at any time. And certainly if you're at Infocom, come by, visit the booth. I think we still have tickets available for our party, or they just released some more, so hit your Midwich rep up and you can get an invite to that party as well. And until next time, thanks so much for joining us on the AV Exchange.